moving at different speed. But here's Old Lincoln Highway here running along 30 towards Bourbon. So Bourbon, you have about 5 minutes before the wind hits. Possible power outages are coming your way. Same goes for the Bremen area. So here's Miami Trail, Miami Road here, Bremen. You have about 5 minutes or so or less. The wind is about to hit pretty hard. We're going to continue to work northward because this line is about to move into South Bend as well. Here's Miami Highway. Here's Woodland. So here's the Wyatt area. The rain now moving into Lakeville, and this brings us back up into South Bend. South Bend may get more of a glancing blow because of the bowing nature of this line. We're kind of on the edge where the bow is towards the south. So if you look at a wider picture here in just a second, I still expect strong wind in South Bend, but the worst of it right now looks to be from Plymouth towards the Bourbon area. So we go out for a wider picture, new alerts. The tornado warning is now canceled for LaPorte County and Stark County. If you're just watching us, it is now midnight. Tornado warning for central St. Joseph and eastern St. Joseph, most of Marshall, eastern Elkhart, eastern Kosciuszko, and all of Fulton counties. We're seeing the warnings be dropped as the line moves through, but damage is already being done. It's going to take some time to account for all the damage that is happening as well. Here is the current radar picture. This is the line crossing the 31 corridor. This is why I'm saying I think the worst damage right now is going to be Plymouth to Bourbon. This is where I'm seeing, again, the biggest bow in this line. The good news here, I've noticed this line kind of weaken over the past 30 minutes or so. We have active warnings. A tornado warning in this case is all radar indicated. There is no specific target where we're saying, okay, there's a tornado likely on the ground anywhere in here. But we have the concern for strong wind. There's a lot of damage that came out of Chicago. Radar returns were very intense, and they continued on into northern Indiana. And so we've been kind of focused in on everything going on right now. Even if this line is weakening some, we're taking it seriously. We're giving you a lot of extra warning. The warnings have not been expanded for our eastern counties. They may or may not, given the nature of this line starting to weaken. It's going to come down to, well, what do we see coming into South Bend? I'm also concerned, though, that we may also have flash flooding, and that may continue on after midnight for the next hour or so. So even if you don't see the worst of, say, the windstorm, you might start to see the flooding. So here's the picture over South Bend right now. Heavy rain, Three Oaks to New Carlisle. New Carlisle, you are no longer under the tornado risk, but South Bend is. Let's go back to that Howard Park camera as we kind of await the arrival of this storm. We know the heavy rain is coming very soon, and I'm interested to see if that wind will pick up or not. If the wind doesn't pick up, that is still part of the story here. It means that maybe this part of the line is weakening. At this point, things are still fairly calm in South Bend. We're looking towards the west. You saw lightning in the distance. We'll probably see another strike of lightning or so within a moment at any time. You can see in the red distance a little bit of red and white there. That's the Key Bank building downtown. You can see Liberty Tower off towards the right here. But again, this is Howard Park looking towards the west as we wait for storms to move in. It still seems pretty serene and quiet. This is the before the storm. Come back to the radar picture and we'll kind of eyeball back and forth as this continues to move in. There is no specific target, though, in here that a tornado would be necessarily on the ground at this time frame. I just let you know that within this time frame right here, we continue to focus in, again, the possibility that there could be some strong wind gusts within this area. That is one thing that we're watching fairly closely. But at this time, there's nothing that's, again, screaming as far as a lot of the data is concerned that something would be happening, at least at this moment. So that is the good news there. But we continue to kind of focus in pretty sharply on that area right now. Let's go back to the Howard Park camera for a little bit. I want to watch what's coming in there for a moment. Let's go back to that picture, and then we'll probably check in with the mobile weather tracker at any moment. But again, watching things fairly closely as we kind of wait for things. Next up, I want to go to the mobile weather tracker after this. Giving my system a quick restart. I had a little freeze up there, but you can see the lightning in the distance in South Bend. So that line of storms is imminent and moving in quite quickly. So within the next 5 or 10 minutes, I expect the wind to be picking up in this shot and the rain to arrive here very soon. At this point, I don't have a lot of information coming in from the National Weather Service. Again, they're concerned mostly about the wind threat that continues to move through this area, but there's no real updates as far as information that has come down the pipe within the past 20 minutes. Everybody's kind of on standby. We are actively looking for anything that is severe coming in, but you can see we just kind of wait, and we're still waiting here for the South Bend area. But it looks like this portion of the storm is not the most severe, and so that is the good news, at least as far as what I'm seeing right here. There is stronger wind south of South Bend. So you can come back to the radar picture. We'll jump back to this shot when needed as that storm kind of edges in here. But you can see that there's kind of a lack of a lot of bright velocity across the South Bend area. But as we continue to push south on the 31 corridor, and I'll kind of move with you, these brighter colors indicate stronger wind. And so when I said the worst that was happening was south of South Bend, we're still seeing very strong returns. Now Bremen now approaching the 331 corridor. It has moved through Plymouth, Bremen to Bourbon. Bourbon, again, first warning is that the wind is about to hit you. Etna Green up next. So this very strong wind currently right now is crossing 331. The worst of this line is not necessarily over South Bend. It's to our south across Marshall County, where you see these bits of brighter blue indicating a wind speed up to, in some pockets, 70 miles per hour. We continue down the 331 corridor. The strong wind has now moved through the Argus area, and you can see down towards Richland Center, and has just now moved through Rochester with some of the strong wind as well. So we go out for this wider picture. You can see this line continue to move through. The storm's happening now in South Bend, Plymouth, eventually the Bourbon area, and heading towards Warsaw. We're going to go back to Howard Park. We're going to take a live look at that camera now. The rain has arrived. The wind has not picked up intensely just yet. That is good. I think that the South Bend area is unlikely to get the worst or the brunt of this storm. As we continue to kind of show you, the worst of it is likely just towards our south and now entering portions of Kosciuszko County and southern Elkhart County. So Napanee, Etna Green, those will be my next areas of probably top concern going forward in portions of southern Kosciuszko and the Akron area in Fulton County that are currently under the warning. So we're seeing the rain come down in South Bend. We're not seeing those trees move very much. I've kind of seen the radar picture there break up. So all in all, that is pretty much a good thing or good news right now. I know many of us probably have been awoken by the storm alerts on your phone, wanting to know what is going on. And I can tell you all this was very well warranted. There was severe weather that started in Chicago, moved across northwest Indiana, and now is arriving here in South Bend. We're still seeing, again, the trees move a little bit. But here's the updated storm timeline. Elkhart, you're next at 12:16. It'll move into the Goshen area if this holds together by about 12:23. LaGrange and then on towards Shipshewana. So it'll move into the Warsaw area 12:15 to 12:30. And it's really Napanee I'm probably most focused on right now, and that's 12:10, because that's probably the worst spot I'm seeing on the radar. If you're following along with us right now, the rain just now picking up here at the station, here is the tornado warning in red highlighted here and here. These are going until 12:30 for St. Joseph County, Marshall County, Fulton County, and the eastern portion of Elkhart and Kosciuszko County. Your phones likely went off. Portions of this line are more severe than other portions. There is no clear, distinct area anywhere where there's a tornado. This is just a dangerous, or has been a dangerous, line of storms that is starting to weaken. That is the good news. We don't wish for these storms to get any stronger. We don't want damage. This was once looking very bad, probably about an hour ago, and we have since seen things weaken across the area. This is the current radar picture. This is what it looks like. The front has now been moving through, is currently moving through South Bend right now, is now across the border between St. Joseph and Elkhart, Marshall and Kosciuszko, Fulton and Kosciuszko. The worst part of the line that I'm seeing is not across South Bend, although I am probably concerned more about the risk of flash flooding as we look up more towards the Niles and Buchanan area. That is some extremely heavy rain. But this is not necessarily a strong damaging wind signature, but I would say there is a flood threat from Berrien Springs to Niles towards the Cassopolis area. As I continue to kind of roll southward, as we see the border between St. Joseph County and Elkhart County. Elkhart, you'll probably see some gusty wind and heavy rain. But once we get here, this is the area I'm probably most concerned for, Etna Green to Mentone. Anywhere along Indiana 19 from Napanee down to Mentone, strong wind is moving through. I'm giving you a first warning for Leesburg and Warsaw. You're not under a warning at this time. But if there's going to be another warning issued, I'm more likely it's going to be somewhere in here. It could just be a severe thunderstorm warning. But from Leesburg to Warsaw, probably the area we're seeing the most, or the signature of the most concerning wind. Let's take a shot of the Notre Dame camera right now because we really have a good light show and some heavy rain that's coming down currently over campus. I see a shot of that currently, and you can see what is the dorms across campus. The rain is here. The rain is definitely coming down. And that is also going to be portion of that flood threat that I have for a good chunk of the area as well. Even if you don't experience the strongest of the wind, the flood threat continues for our area as we go past this first wave. So you can see how the visibility has dropped looking across campus with the heavy rain and lightning happening right now. I think the main concern now for the South Bend area is going to be flooding or flash flooding, not necessarily damaging wind. That is the good news. I've seen kind of this line kind of fall apart right now as we watch the rain just pour. It is just dumping rainfall on the north side of South Bend and the campus of the University of Notre Dame. So in addition to a severe threat as far as wind is concerned, it now may also be a flood threat for some areas. We may have flood warnings and flash flood warnings soon issued because of this additional and excess rainfall. That is a real concern that we're seeing across the area. So we are far from done, at least right now, as far as this line is concerned. But I have seen a trend of this line at least starting to fall apart. We're going to switch over here to our patio camera here at the station. The rain really coming down. If you can focus in on the lights, you can really see how the rain is just pouring. Some off those trees there. The rain continues to come down. There we go. We're focusing in. You can see how the rain is just now dumping in our parking lot. A deluge of heavy rain. We did not witness, though, a wind gust. And so for South Bend, Mishawaka, now Granger, Elkhart, I am not concerned about necessarily extremely strong wind for you, but I will say flash flooding does continue to be a concern. So a deluge of heavy rain currently happening right now here. New severe thunderstorm warning has just been issued. I want you to come back to the screen here and we'll kind of update you on all the new information that's coming down. New alerts are coming in. This latest alert, as I said, a new area would be issued right here. This is the new severe thunderstorm warning, not a tornado warning. We're replacing that line to now be a severe thunderstorm warning. That's good news. That means that we're mostly concerned about straight line wind and not necessarily a tornado, but it is strong wind with up to 70 miles per hour, a considerable threat for the Warsaw area, for LaGrange County, but likely the rest of Kosciuszko County now under the gun. I want to go for this latest warning update to the mobile weather tracker on the west side of South Bend. ABC 57 First Warning Neighborhood Meteorologist Dave Caulfield is in the mobile weather tracker, has moved in from LaPorte. And Dave, what have you experienced on your drive now back into South Bend?
Dave, what have you experienced on your drive now back into South Bend?
Yeah, Tom, we are just about to make our way onto the bypass. We've been driving through LaPorte County, as you mentioned, and we've seen a couple of tree limbs on the side of the road. We haven't seen any extreme tree damage necessarily, but we've seen enough to have to navigate that over the last 20 minutes or so. I wouldn't say it's widespread. It's more isolated at this point. But we were moving through sort of we're seeing more as we speak, as we get onto the bypass here. So maybe just we haven't been in the right areas, but we have seen a lot of torrential rain. The rain has lightened up a little bit over the last 5 minutes or so, but we're going to check out some potential damage in St. Joseph County. But really, the heavy rain has been staggering at points. It has lightened up at the moment, but this is not a storm system to take lightly, because if you're missing out on one thread, it seems like another facet, another side of the storm in terms of flooding or in terms of lightning strikes, you still need to be on guard for that. So we're about 5 or 10 minutes away from some potential damage. We'll report back if we see anything. But for now, from the mobile weather tracker, meteorologist Dave Caulfield with ABC 57 News.
All right, thanks, Dave, and stay safe. And just keep you alert that even if you're not seeing wind damage, flash flooding is a concern. The tornado warning is now less concerning for the area. If you're watching in South Bend, if you're watching in Plymouth and Rochester, flooding might be a concern. You might need to check your basement, but the overall severe threat has passed you. I don't want to show you the evolution of this whole front now moving through. This is going to be clear the area by about 12:30 to 12:45. So I expect our coverage to continue until likely about 12:30 or 12:45 once this Boeing line moves through. One thing you can notice how the northern portion of this line kind of weakens up and there's a gap here. We had some preceding storms earlier that fired up and may have taken a little bit of energy away from this area. However, that did not happen across Marshall and Kosciuszko County. So here's where Dave is. He's coming around on the bypass in the heavy rain. There's very heavy rain over Granger right now. There's a lot of lightning over Edwardsburg. But this area, I am not really that concerned as far as an overall major severe threat here. But there may be still some damaging wind from Elkhart to Goshen to Middlebury to Millersburg. The threat here still is wind in excess of 60 or 70 miles per hour. But here is where I am concerned. Leesburg, anywhere along Indiana 15, Leesburg to Warsaw, inside, away from windows. This is still a very gnarly and dangerous looking portion of this line that, again, we're focused in on. I'm going to look at some of the velocity in here. You can really see how that blue is really peaked and sticking out there in the Leesburg area. So that is one spot here on the radar, watching very closely. You can see a very fine knife's edge where we go from some muted colors to some very bright colors, indicating that leading edge, that gust front, along with the rain that's moving through. And that is strong wind. And so something that we'll have to follow up on and really check for is there a lot of damage from Plymouth to Bourbon to Etna Green and Leesburg, all through this area. Would be my prime area of probably concern as we go over the next few hours, because you can see right along this line. This is a very sharp demarcation of what we would look at in the radar picture. The radar's right here, so we're getting a very low-level scan, and there's about to be some strong wind that's about to push into Leesburg within the next minute or so. So the wind is about to push in. If you're in Leesburg, if you're watching in Kosciuszko County right now, the worst of the wind is about to hit. And this is what we've kind of witnessed across much of Marshall and now into Kosciuszko County, is this is probably the most severe portion of this line currently moving through. We'll get more information as this cuts through the National Weather Service office in North Webster, where the radar site is, and we'll kind of see how this all evolves. But the tornado warnings will soon expire. And thank goodness, for the most part, I've not seen any major reports of a lot of damage, but we have those warnings The reason the warnings were issued was because there was a lot of damage in the Chicagoland area, and the storms pretty much kept strength up until this point. They are weakening here. So the warnings were to give as much people as much of a first warning as much as possible. And so you can see the timeline here on towards North Webster by 12:30. Here we are at 12:20. So most of this line will be clear by about 12:30 to 12:45. These tornado warnings technically go until 12:30 to 12:45, and I expect those to be expiring sooner than later. The severe thunderstorm warning, you can see there. See how we've just had a redaction of that warning. It gets cleared as the line moves through. South Bend, no longer under a tornado warning. Plymouth, no longer under a tornado warning here at 12:20. Rochester and Fulton County still technically under the warning. We're concerned mostly about eastern Fulton County, and then the rest of the area is under a severe thunderstorm warning. That includes Warsaw, Syracuse, Goshen, all of eastern Elkhart County, all of LaGrange County. And the threat there is still, again, concerning and considerable. The warning is for wind up to 70 miles per hour. It's a very broad warning. And this goes until technically 1 a.m. And we're going to stay with you at least through 12:30. I think most of this line will likely be clearing by about 12:45. So just kind of giving you a standby for our crews as we kind of plan and kind of see what we have going out there. If we come across more damage, our coverage might expand a little bit, but until 12:30, 12:45, we're going to be focused in on our eastern counties as far as the damage is concerned. But this is the latest update right now. But we're still watching things very closely. Let's go back to our South Bend camera at Howard Park and see how things are happening there. It looks like mostly heavy rain. We've not really seen the trees blow about as much. Things still look pretty well put together, which is a clue of what happened or what did not happen here. And again, we don't root for severe weather to happen. We pretty much witnessed this line move through. It was at its peak just towards our west and has since weakened across our area as we've been on air since the first tornado warning at about 11:15, and here we are at 12:22. 12:22, and most of the warnings are starting to expire for the western half of our area. It's definitely just steady rainfall across South Bend. I'm still concerned about areas of flash flooding. Come back here to the radar picture, and I'll kind of show you the evolution of everything that's happening. Here is the current picture. The leading edge of this storm currently right now moving through Kosciuszko County in southern Elkhart County. Most concerning spot I really see is right now in Warsaw. As you look at what happened here, this line evolved and pushed through. We kind of had a bit of a dead zone in the line for St. Joseph and Elkhart County. We just have not really seen that part of the line stay together. Heavy rain and flooding, I am concerned about that across Berrien and Cass County. But you can see this edge stayed pretty sharp. Looks like a blade cutting through. So as we continue to kind of scan around here, the rain has moved through Elkhart, heavy rain moving through Simonton Lake and Cleveland Township. Bristol and Goshen, you're about to see some heavy downpours, some strong wind gusts, but unlikely the most severe. But as we continue down Indiana 15, the front has now moved through Leesburg. It has moved through Warsaw. So the wind is happening right now. Leesburg and Warsaw, North Webster and Syracuse are next as far as the strongest wind gusts. So we're on with you until at least this knife's edge gets through North Webster. So that's going to be 12:30 to 12:45. I plan for us to stay on air with you. We're still kind of looking for any damage out there, any damage reports coming in. I would continue to make some calls and confirm with possibly Marshall County Dispatch or Kosciuszko County Dispatch, as those will be areas of really top concern as far as anything coming in that might be out there right now. But I'm not seeing anything as far as major reports coming in. Meteorologist Oliver Moster is in right now. And Oliver, do you have anything as far as check the chats there, see if there's any new reports coming in, give me a heads up. But we're just kind of prepared and kind of looking for that damage out there. But I would say the most concerning spots on the radar would be Leesburg, Warsaw, and North Webster. In this area, we still have a very sharp kind of knife edge moving in here, but we don't have a lot more to go as far as this line is concerned. So here's Leesburg and then North Webster. We've got about 5 or 10 miles for this line to move before the worst that I'm concerned about is kind of out of here. So we'll stay on air with you until at least the 12:30 time frame. I'm going to update this storm track as we look at this, again, very much of the leading edge, at least right now, as far as the worst is concerned, as this portion kind of moves off here. So this will move into LaGrange and on towards Fort Wayne by about 1:15 if it maintains its speed right now. We are headed to probably some damage in some areas right now. Also, it looks like, okay, that's not our area, but power outage numbers are coming in. Stark County, almost 5,000. St. Joseph County, over 2,000. Marshall County, 2,500. LaPorte County, 1,700. Berrien County, 7,500. So we're seeing a lot, and we're probably going to start coming across some damage here as well. So while the front or the storm has moved through, we still have a lot to go as far as the damage is going to start being assessed, and we're going to get more and more of these reports coming in. Here's the current situation. This severe thunderstorm warning that includes LaGrange County goes until 1 a.m. We're at 12:26. Anything a red box here, this tornado warning goes until 12:30. We'll watch that red box disappear. This tornado warning for Fulton County goes until 12:45, though I wouldn't be surprised if we see it go away before that mark. Current radar picture. Anything in this light shade of green, no more severe weather concerns. Really, it's just the bright colors that are almost out of here. You can see a lot of lightning, and again, we'll kind of zoom in. This is the evolution of all this, how the storm kind of has fallen apart. But I am concerned, again, in this area for Cass County right now. There's a lot of heavy rain and lightning from Edwardsburg up towards the Three Rivers area. There could be flash flooding anywhere in here along the 12 or M60, M62 corridor up towards the Marcellus area as well. Torrential rainfall. Remember, that is another added part of this whole system, is beyond the wind threat, we have the concern for what could be flash flooding as well. And that looks to be set up across most of our Michigan counties right now, from Cassopolis to Three Rivers. A lot of lightning and a lot of heavy rain in this area. We continue to focus southward. You can see the Syracuse area, North Webster, and Warsaw also seeing that knife's edge has weakened a little bit. This is about to move through the National Weather Service office, so I'm going to be interested on what reports they have, but that's where the leading edge of this is. And remember the area I was just talking about, there's the new severe thunderstorm warning for portions of St. Joseph County, Michigan. These warnings are for wind up to about 60 miles per hour in this area of focus, or what we continue to watch very closely. So a lot of alerts continue to come in. Again, we've had warnings on top of warnings. Part of my job here is just to kind of keep everything straight. If you've been following along with the First Warning weather app, it's helpful because those warnings, those alerts are for your specific location only. We're not looking at a map with multiple warnings on it. But the Rochester area, just about clear. There's some really heavy rain south towards the town of Fulton, over Akron, over Silver Lake, still in the severe thunderstorm warning. But as we head towards 12:30, we'll start to see some of these tornado warnings expire. That is the good news here, but we still have to deal with the strong straight line wind, and we're beginning to come across areas of damage and reports come in. Typical, of course, it's also night. Storms move through, power goes out, trees and limbs break, and eventually the calls and reports come in 30 minutes, an hour, or hours after the fact, and some may not be until tomorrow morning until people assess things in the daylight. And if you're okay, you do not need to go outside at any point to try to assess anything, even if you're without power. And maybe you're following along on our Facebook Live feed. Just know that, take it easy, evaluate in the morning. Stay safe, stay indoors. There's no reason to go out in the middle of the night and try and find or come across anything, maybe a down power line.